Hello, my name is Michael Lambert, and today I want to talk about foreigners, and I want to talk particularly about foreigners who want to come and live and work in the UK, or indeed who we need to come and work and live in the UK. And I see these people in three different categories, and I'd like to talk a little bit about each. First off, there are the criminals, the chancers, the people who want to come and take advantage, people who want to come and commit all sorts of crime. Second is people who are escaping persecution and are in danger and have just reason to want to come here, but find it virtually impossible. And third are people who we need economically, people we need to do important jobs, people we need to come and set up businesses, and people we need desperately if we're going to ever recover and if we're going to find this growth that we keep being told about. So I want to say a little bit about each of those three categories, and to begin with the chancers and the criminals. Now, if you live in London, or if you know London, you'll know of Park Lane. It's the second most expensive square on the Monopoly board. Park Lane is a sort of dual carriageway bordering Hyde Park. And on one side there's the park, on the other side there are a lot of extremely expensive buildings, including the Dorchester Hotel and the Intercontinental and the Aston Martin showroom and so on. It's really, really expensive. It is in fact the edge of Mayfair. And it's a pretty posh place. I mean, the houses and the flats there are so expensive they'd make your eyes water. So anyhow, in the middle of Park Lane, stretching from the top to the bottom, there's a sort of central reservation with grass in it, and it's quite wide. And at the top of Park Lane, some new residents moved in a few months ago, and they've set up home there. They brought their own accommodation with them in the form of some very scruffy tents. They look a bit like some of those tents you see in films from Los Angeles and so on. It's a sort of an encampment, little tent village. And there's been quite a lot of publicity about it. A lot of newspapers have written about them, including the Daily Mail, and there have been one or two films made about them. And it seems that, it's difficult to know exactly, but it seems that these people are either from Bosnia or from Romania, or some of both, and that they've come here by plane, they've come here legally. And they've come here, apparently, according to the newspapers, they've come here in order to work, to earn money to send back to their families. Well, that's the first problem, because if they've come here and they want to work, they need a work visa, and they certainly won't have got that, and they've no fixed abode anyway. So presumably they're working for cash, or alternative, they're not. They'll be involved in some sort of criminal activity, maybe drugs, who knows what. But undoubtedly, there must be something in it for them to come and squat on a piece of grass in the middle of a busy road for month after month after month. There was a similar encampment about 2 years ago, which was eventually cleared, and it seems that it's not easy to get rid of squatters. There is, behind this encampment, there's a sort of black wooden fence, and on the fence I noticed when I was there was an A4 envelope, and it was addressed to the residents of the central reservation in Park Lane. In other words, it would appear that legal proceedings are going ahead, and that must have been some sort of judgment to say they had to move, or giving them notice to move. But it's not a good look. It's obviously not very healthy. I don't know what they use for laboratories and so on. But I did think it would be an idea to go and try and talk to some of these people, and so I went there on last week one day. And I found, I think as others have found, that they were pretty hostile. Nobody really wanted to talk to me, and certainly nobody was going to be on film. And so I was just able to walk around amongst these tents and see a little bit, and they seem to be quite well set up. They seem to be doing communal cooking. They've got tables and chairs, and they seem to have got a generator. I saw inside one tent, and there's a guy in there reading a book. He looked very comfortable. He looked quite well dressed. He had a nice carpet on the floor of his tent, and the tent was on a pallet. It looked pretty comfortable. And as I say, I realised that I wasn't going to get anybody to talk to me, so I decided to leave. And just before I left, I sort of did a quick scan with the camera just to show show the tents and show them how they're next door to Park Lane and so on. Put my camera away, and as I did so, I saw 3 men coming into the camp from about 20 yards away. And I saw these 3 guys. They looked quite well dressed, quite smart, and I thought, like me, they'd probably just come to have a look. They're not part of it. But I then realised as they got closer to the camp that in fact they were residents and they were just going back to their tents. But what did happen then was rather strange. That one of the 3 guys came across to me. He was in his mid-30s, a nice-looking guy. As I say, he was well-dressed, and he was extremely hostile, very, very aggressive, and I think he wanted to be intimidating. And he approached me, and as he looked at me, he glared at me, and he said, "No videos, no videos, no videos." And I thought afterwards, these guys, they've come from wherever. They're obviously involved in some sort of criminal activity. They're squatting somewhere they should certainly not be squatting. No fear of anyone. And they feel they can actually threaten and try to intimidate a local resident. And I just thought that was extraordinary. And I can see how these sort of people do give foreigners, asylum seekers, a very bad reputation. And whereas it's pretty clear the authorities, I think TfL are responsible for this piece of land, in the middle of the Park Lane. It seems that legal procedures have to be gone through, and that seems absurd. I mean, if it were me, I'd want to take a bus around there tomorrow, pile them all in the bus, stamp all their passports deported, and send them packing. They've no business being here. They say they want to send money home to their families. Well, it's unfortunate if their families are poor, and without wishing to see it sound harsh, I mean, we can't be responsible for people in other countries who are struggling. But certainly we can't have people coming and committing crimes in order to make money and behaving so badly and creating what is a absolute eyesore in a sort of major tourist area where the dome-top buses are going past every day. Now, on the other hand, there are people who genuinely need help and need asylum, people who are escaping from dangerous regimes. We all know Eritrea and Sudan and Iran and Afghanistan. I saw a thing in the paper the other day. You'll know that Afghan girls cannot be educated above the age of 12, and that Afghan women, if they go out, they have to be covered from head to foot, and they can only go out if they're accompanied by their husband or a close male relative. Well, apparently, according to an article I read last week, in future, women in Afghanistan, not only will they have to go out with a husband or close relative and be completely covered, but they won't be allowed to look at or speak to any other man. And I thought, from the age of 12, these people are prisoners for the rest of their lives. In their case, of course, they can't escape to the UK. It'd be much too difficult. But there are people living in very oppressive regimes who are often at risk and who may well have family in the UK, may well speak English and so on, who really, really do need help. And the fact that we've made it so difficult, I mean, it is now virtually impossible to come here unless you're from Hong Kong or Ukraine. Almost impossible to come here. Because the law is that you can apply for asylum wherever you come from. You can apply for asylum only when you arrive in the UK. But we've made it impossible to get to the UK. Because if you, on your way from wherever you're coming, you stop in any so-called safe country, then that's where you should apply for your asylum. And so we say you can apply for asylum when you get to the UK, but you can't get to the UK. And we seem to think that's quite smart. And it isn't right, we're being irresponsible. And I think, we can't be expected to bear an unfair share of all these people who are in danger. But at the same time, we have to take some responsibility. And I think, whereas the whole of Europe is having problems with asylum seekers and so on, I think we have to have to do our bit and not all the time try to have nothing to do with it. Now, the biggest group, I think, of people who want to come here and work, who we need to come here and work, since we got rid of the Europeans. Europeans, incidentally, who very often came as single people and came for a couple of years and then went home again afterwards, people who never caused any trouble, people who were from similar culture to ours. We've got rid of all them, stopped them coming here because we didn't want free movement anymore. And likewise, at the same time, we've prevented all our young people from the fantastic advantage of being able to travel in Europe and work in Europe. And so we've had to find replacements, and we've been searching all over the world. And I can tell you now that during 2024, this year, we've 160,000 Indians have come here, 84,000 Nigerians, 90,000 Chinese, 83,000 Pakistanis, 36,000 Zimbabweans. And how is that better than people from Germany and Italy and France who would stay a short while and maybe they meet somebody, get married, but if they didn't, they'd go home again afterwards? How is that an advantage to us? And not only that, we all know about the panic when it turned out that these people were bringing their dependents with them, and so we had to say no, stop all that. And so we've stopped bringing dependents now, and so we said you have to come on your own, and you have to have a job earning nearly 38,700 before you can come here. And do you remember the Tories saying that we're going to become a high-wage, high-tech economy? What about the high wage? We're giving all the high wages to foreigners going to come here. And we're going to be left with all the low-paid jobs because foreigners can't come here to do low-paid jobs. They've got to earn 38,700. You can't get it sweeping the roads. So the whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. We are reserving for ourselves all the low-paid jobs, which people on the whole don't really want to do. And you hear this thing. We've all heard it. Where somebody says, "We're too full. We don't want any more people." And this is all listening to Farage and listening to Honest Bob and listening to reading the Daily Express. We're full. We can't take any more people. We have to look after our own. It's not possible. These people are coming and using the NHS and so on. And you hear people say that. And you say, "Well, what about your hairdresser? He's Italian, isn't he?" "Oh, Angelo, I don't mind about him. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the others, the ones that come here and use the NHS." You say, "What about your plumber? He's a Romanian, isn't he?" "Yeah, no, he's fine. I'm not talking about them." "Well, he's got his family with him, hasn't he? He's got 3 children." "Yes, I know. No, they're not the ones. The ones I'm worried about, the ones that are coming here and using the NHS." And the popular press has built up this idea that people are just coming here to get stuff. They're not. They're coming here to work, and because anybody who leaves a country, if they're in danger, they're escaping the danger. But if they come to a new country, it's because they want to do well. Immigrants always have more drive because they've needed drive in order to leave their own country. They needed ambition in order to leave their own country and go somewhere far away to a new country. And again, as far as the NHS is concerned, people say, we can't cope. The NHS is, look at the waiting list. We can't have foreigners coming here because they'll use the NHS. 27% of the nurses in the NHS are from other countries. 37%, that's nearly 4 in 10 of the doctors in the NHS are from other countries. At a time when doctors are leaving all the time, but we don't want any more coming. No foreigners coming. We're going to train up our own. And the people that we need most of all to come to this country are entrepreneurs. We want people to come and start businesses. We want people to come and invest, come and innovate and develop products and develop services and build our economy. We're desperate for this growth. We're told that our entire future depends on whether or not we get any growth, and we all know that the chance of getting growth is next to nil. And yet we still make it hostile. We still make it difficult for foreigners to come here and start businesses and to invest and to work. And I just wanted to I want to finish off by reading you a couple of articles that I came across last week. One concerns the UK, one concerns America. And these articles actually confirm what we all know, is that, as I said just now, if you are going to emigrate to another country, you need a bit of ambition, a bit of determination. And the first of these articles is it's to do with a bit of research done by a venture capital company called Blue Lake, and they said during the course of this research they discovered that 14.5% of the UK population is foreign-born, but currently 39 of the country's 100 fastest-growing startups have at least one immigrant co-founder. They go on to say, the guy who wrote this report says, the rise of tech ecosystems in France, Germany, Portugal pose risks to a UK tech sector which could follow a host of other once successful and nearly forgotten British industries. Fewer than 1,000 visas were issued to start-up founders in 2023. You know, we're not unique. We've got some absolutely fantastic, well-beaten companies in this country at the moment, but we need a lot more. And if people aren't going to start businesses and aren't going to innovate, then it's going to be very difficult. Finally, this is from the American Immigration Council, and this is from a report they produced. Now, you'll know of the Fortune 500. It's the 500 largest companies on the US stock exchange. Apparently, according to this report, 43.8%, that's 219, of the Fortune 500 companies were started by immigrants or children of immigrants. And it says here, immigrant entrepreneurs play an indispensable role in driving our economy and in creating job growth. While immigrants represent only 13.6% of US population, it's estimated that a quarter of American entrepreneurs are immigrants. You know, we've shut the door to the EU. We don't want anything more to do with them. And there are plenty of people in this country, people who listen to Farage and listen to Honest Bob and listen to the Daily Express, who would like to shut the door to the whole world. We have to change. We have to change. We can't go on being so anti-foreigner. We can't train up our own people. You know, doctors, as we know, are leaving in their droves to go off to Australia and Canada and South Africa and so on. And our response is, oh, we'll train up some more. It's just nonsense. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say today about foreigners. I think we need to really clamp down on those who come here for criminal purposes. We need to help as much as we can people who genuinely are asylum seekers and make it possible for them to come here by having legal routes, because the legal routes are the only way we'll get rid of the boats. The idea that we will stop the boats, as the government wants to do and as the previous government wanted to do, by going after the people who are organising the boats is fanciful. It's nonsense. It's, as I've said before, it's like saying, well, we're going to stop the drugs trade by going after the drug barons. Well, you won't find the drug barons. They're on their yachts in Dubai or they're the other side of the world, and so are the people who are organising the boats coming across the channel. And if you do catch them, they'll soon be replaced, because it's a very profitable, very easy job, and there are plenty of people who will be very happy to take it over. You have to establish safe routes, and that's the only way you'll stop the boats. And then we have to have a different attitude towards attracting people to come here and work. And we've got an aging population. We all know where our population is getting older. We know we're having fewer children. We know that there are not going to be enough people in a few years' time earning enough money to pay the taxes to keep all the old folks alive, and that's going to be a big problem. So I think we need a very serious rethink as towards our attitude towards foreigners. We're not on our own. We're not. It's a very interdependent world, and we need to realise that. Anyway, That's what I think about it. If you've watched this far, thank you very much indeed. And until next time, thanks again, and bye for now.